Coming up on this edition of AU Hoop Talk presented by Launchbox Golf, we'll look at the state of the Eagles entering conference play. Yilrit Yiljip stops by to tell his story of returning to the hardwood after 4 years away, and we'll preview and look at how the Patriot League is shaping up. It all starts right now. Welcome inside AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. And Coach, let's jump right into it as non-conference is now wrapped up as you're getting set for Patriot League play. Where do you see the guys at this point? Because the team seems to have an identity at this point. You've seen the guys in a number of games. How do you see the guys progressing?
I like what we did in the preseason. I thought we got better. We got guys that hadn't played in a while. A lot of quality minutes, got them comfortable being on the court, and I think we're getting contributions from a lot of different people. I like the group. I like how they're working, how they're progressing. So I'm excited to get started with league play.
And when you look at Saeed Nelson, the Patriot League preseason player of the year, and what he has done, he just continues to play really well.
Yeah, no, he's been super. This whole first half of the season. While we're trying to get some other guys sort of acclimated. He's just been on it offensively and defensively, involved in every play, giving everything he got, for the entire game. And there's so much that he does, not just with the ball and guarding the ball, but off the ball. So he's exhausting everything that he can possibly do on the court, which we need him to do, and that's what Player of the Year type guys do.
Do you meet with him to talk to him about, hey, we need to see you do more of this, or, we have these young guys that we're trying to get in the mix sooner than later, and maybe can you help us with this? Or is that something that he just does naturally?
We talk. We're pretty open. I talk to the whole team, and, anything that I have to say to Saeed specifically, I'll just say it in front of the team, and, it's pretty much down the line. Just so everybody knows, what's expected of each of them. Everybody knows what's expected of the other guy. So, no one's, ever in the dark about, why they're playing a lot, playing a little, why we need them to do certain things. And Saeed's good, he's mature, he's been great, he's a terrific leader. So he understands, when I'm telling him, hey, this is what we need from you. He embraces it, accepts challenges. And then, he's been sort of, talking, I think, because he knows what I expect of everybody else too. He's aware of that, and he's talking to the guys throughout practice and throughout games, and he knows where, maybe some guys are deficient in certain areas. He knows how to try to pick them up, try to teach them, try to help them learn.
Where is Mark Gasparini's game at this point? Where do you see it based on where you saw it a few years ago after he sat out last year because of the concussion?
He's still getting there. Obviously, he gives us production in the paint. We can throw it to him in the paint, and he can score and give us points. But he's a good enough player where, he looks out on the perimeter and he gets other guys' shots. So it's not just the threat of scoring. It's if teams collapse on him, he's got the ability to throw the ball out and get other people's shots. And I think he's been rebounding better than he did his freshman year. He's sort of more in tune to how important that is, and he's able to just play for longer stretches. But I still think there's so much room for growth for him, which is exciting. He's giving you a lot and he's playing well, but there's still room for a whole lot of growth.
And you speak of growth, some youngsters that are seeing some quality minutes, and Josh Alexander and Jacob Bunyusit.
Yeah, I think Josh, has a really good feel for the game, picks things up, easily. He can throw passes. He makes other people better. He goes after rebounds. He's aggressive. He's not afraid. So I think there's a lot of things that he can give us. It's just sort of maybe helping him zero in on which one or two to think about. But again, it's like there's so much that he can do. It's hard to do that. You want him to do everything because you see the ability eventually to be able to do everything. And the same with Jacob. I mean, Jacob, it's just a matter of comfort level. You know, just him getting comfortable and, you know, where am I supposed to be? You know, what are we running? What's the next, you know, part of the play? And where am I supposed to be defensively? And, you know, just getting used to college basketball, how hard it is, how intense it is. You know, every play counts, every second of every possession counts. So just normal sort of freshman learning curve. But he's a very good offensive player. He's a great worker. He's coachable. He listens. He works. I mean, he's going to be a really good player for us.
YY's back. We've talked about it a lot on the shows, and it's great to have him back. And that's after 4 years of not being able to play basketball. For you as a coach, take us through your mindset, your thought process of keeping him around, because a lot of players may have figured out a way to figure something else out to do, or maybe coaches wouldn't have stuck with a guy thinking that they never would have been able to play basketball again with the heart condition, and you kept him around.
Yeah, no, well, and he wanted to be around too. You know, I think he realized kind of what we're trying to do here as a program, and he wanted to be a part of it. So, you know, so happy for him that he's able to put the uniform back on. But he was instrumental in, you know, just helping us grow and, you know, working with guys while he was sitting out. But I think as excited as I was and as he was and as all our fans and supporters and everything were that, oh, wow, he's back, we got to sort of remember that he stopped playing midway through his freshman year.
Right.
You know, so he was still, you know, just scratching the surface, and he hadn't played since then. So he hadn't practiced and picked up a ball and, you know, worked on skills. And the game, you know, it's so competitive that you got to be working on your game every single day throughout the year. So for him to sort of be able to pick up where he left off, essentially, is a testament to how hard, you know, he's worked. Just once he knew he can, you know, he was cleared to play. But there's still a lot of growth for him. So we got to, as old as he is and mature as he is, and he's been around and everything, he's got to, and he has this mindset to continue to say, okay, I got to get better today. You know, it's important that I continue to grow and get better. I'm not a complete player. I'm far from it. You know, even though I'm old, you know, I still got a lot of things to work on, and he gets better every single day because of the effort he brings.
And looking at the game probably through a different lens, having sat on the bench, having you allowed him into some of the coaching meetings and some of the ideas behind coaching, he probably looks at the game a little differently.
No, absolutely. I mean, he gives everything he has. He understands the importance of a possession. And then again, I go back to just what he brings to practice, because, you know, you got Josh Alexander following him, you know, over at a basket before practice every day. And, you know, Josh is picking up all of YY's good habits, which we need.
Indeed. Time for our first time out, and when we come back, we'll talk to YY. We'll hear his story from him as we continue on AU Hoop Talk, presented by Launchbox Golf.
American University encourages character forged through competition. It is a character that is equipped for the challenge. It is a character that is prepared mentally as well as physically. It is a character that displays excellence in the classroom and in competition. It is a character that displays maximum effort. An effort that is 110%.
Ahead of the pack is Iorio. He'll take it and hits! Right there, that's huge.
Dempsey can he get the pin? He's down there. He does have the pin.
Looking for Bradfield, and it finds the back of the net. Knocked away. Matuzis will take it the other end. Two-handed flush for Larry Matuzis. Now there's Kazawa, and she's able to finish it off.
Shot to whiff, and that'll end up in the net.
Seconds, fraction of a second. The runner is up, and it's good for Katie Marini.
I give 110%.
I give 110%.
I give 110%.
To give your 110%, send your financial contribution to the Eagles Club by visiting aueagles.com/eaglesclub.
Welcome to our sleepy little college town. You may have heard of us. Here we stand up for causes as naturally as we sit down for classes. We believe that knowledge, understanding, and discovery will make the world a better place, and that our contributions are only limited by our imaginations. Words, medals, and degrees don't make us who we are. Meaningful change does.
We are American.
And there's nothing we would rather be.
Welcome back to AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf, and we're now joined by forward Yiljip YY, and your story is a real heartwarming story on some regards, a heartbreaking story in other regards, a love story,
Right.
A lot to get to.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How does it feel to be back on the floor playing basketball?
It feels great. I mean, it's something I never imagined, and I'm just very grateful, and I feel blessed to be able to play again.
Now, it's been 4 years
Yeah.
since you're able to play basketball.
Yeah.
Take me through, I guess, well, first of all, what kept you off the floor and how you found out that you were not going to be able to play basketball anymore.
Initially the doctors thought it was cardiomyopathy. I basically was playing in the game, and then I had symptoms. I had shortness of breath. I got tired quick and everything, and I talked to the trainer, and then they had me see cardiologists because of my family history, because my dad had issues with he had a heart attack, so they basically had me see cardiologists, and the cardiologist thought I had cardiomyopathy based off of my symptoms and everything, and so they helped me out of competition for the remainder of my career, undergrad. So I graduated in 2017, was working downtown, and then I felt sick. Was rushed to the emergency room 3 times in November last year. And then after the 3rd visit to the emergency room, they admitted me in the hospital, ran a battery of tests, and then found out that it wasn't anything related to my heart. It was just anxiety, and I have panic attacks every now and then, and that's basically what it is.
So what was your initial reaction to that when the physician or the nurses or whoever told you that was the new diagnosis or whatever? What was your initial reaction to that?
Well, you mean my reaction after I found out about that I could play again? Or
once they said you're good to go, you can play basketball again.
Yes, I was overcome with so many emotions. I didn't really know how to take it all. It's crazy because as soon as they told me, I had another episode right there, and because I just had all these thoughts you mean to tell me that for the last 4 years I could have been playing, I could have had a normal college career, but I didn't have that, and and at that moment I felt it was a battle to. I didn't know if it was a possibility to come back and play at that point.
Sure.
I just knew that I was cleared, for athletics. And, at that point I just had so many things going on in my head, and, my body just took over, and I just reacted the way I did. And yeah.
Who was the first person you called? Who was the first person that you told?
Well, I had my family with me when it happened.
Okay.
So that was good, but I called my fiance and told her. Yeah,
what was Sarah's reaction?
She was very happy. She was very excited for me. She's still very excited for me, so it's cool.
And from there, you obviously got a hold of Coach Brennan, and then when did the process start to? Wait a minute, let's see if we can get you some eligibility back. Let's see if we can get you a couple of years back. How did that come about?
So the coaches, I was in touch with the coaches because I was still around the team when I, for that year after I graduated. So I was still around the team, so they were aware with of everything that was going on. And so when I found that I could play again, I came up to Coach Brennan and told him about it, and basically he was like, well, we can talk to our compliance officer, Andrew Smith, about it and see what we can do, but it's a long shot. And I was like, yes, let's try it. And so that's basically how it started. And, Andrew was great with everything. We filed all the necessary paperwork, and got the couple years back.
Yeah, not just one,
yeah.
but 2 years.
But 2 years, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because initially we're hoping we're only going to get one, and then to get two, that's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Where do you feel your game is as far as how you've been, your skill set, right? So do you feel that in a sense that, your skills stopped, those 13 games after you were a freshman, boom, and now you're picking back up from where you were? Do you feel you're a little bit behind, or have you been able to sort of do some smallish things to get back? Where is your game?
Okay, I would say the game has slowed down for me considerably from my freshman year to now, like just mentally, just sitting on the bench and watching everything. I got to see the game from a different perspective. So from that standpoint, I'm like good. But from a skill standpoint, I still think that, since I didn't play the game for so long, like I'm still like where I was as a freshman. So, I know what to do, but it's like the ability to do those things because I haven't developed, over time. So it's like kind of like picking up from there, and it's like a race against time to like kind of get ready for games and all that. But I mean, it's been fun. I mean that's my biggest problem right now, and it's great.
The passion that you have for basketball, the stick-to-itiveness that you've had as you've gone through this whole process, what basketball has meant to you. It helped to get you from Nigeria here to the United States. Just speak to what basketball means to you and what a huge part, obviously, it's had to your life.
Well, basketball is everything. Without basketball, I don't know where I'd be right now. I probably would still be back home with my mom in Nigeria. I don't know what path I would have taken. And, basketball has just created so many opportunities for me to come here, to go to school at American University. I don't think I would have been able to do that. And, now getting my master's, like that, that's great. And I owe it all to basketball. So every time I step on the court, I try to play like it's my last, and I just try to give it my all. I'm just like so fortunate to have this opportunity again, and I don't want to lose any second that I can get on the court. I want to, make the most of it.
Now, you made the most of it on the court. As far as off the court goes, what, are you going to have 3 degrees? Is that right? How many degrees are you going to have when everything's said and done?
Well, right now I'm in the Master's in Marketing program. So I have my undergrad in Business Administration.
Okay.
So I'm in the Master's in Marketing program. I graduated in June. And then I have to enroll in another master's program for the second year. So, but again, that's also a very good problem to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this has also allowed you to meet Sarah Katz, who was a volleyball player, now is an assistant coach on Barry Goldberg's staff, and now your fiance.
Yeah. The crazy thing about that is when I first met her, it was like the end of my freshman year, and that's when I stopped playing. So she never really got to see me play, in a sense. And so she was like with me through this, my whole journey about like me like coping with not being able to play and everything. But she was there and supportive the whole time. And just it's rewarding that I'm able to play for me, but it's also I kind of feel happy for her as well because she gets to deal with a happy YY. So
exactly, and we all get to see a happy YY. And thank you for taking some time and telling us the story. It's a heartwarming story and with a happy ending.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
YY right there. Yilret Yiljip will be back with more AU Hoop Talk presented by Launchbox Golf right after this.
American University encourages character forged through competition. It is a character that is equipped for the challenge. It is a character that is prepared mentally as well as physically. It is a character that displays excellence in the classroom and in competition. It is a character that displays maximum effort. An effort that is 110%.
Ahead of the pack is Iorio. He'll take it and hits. That That's huge. This
Dempsey
is tight.
can he get the pin? He's down there, and he does have the pin.
Looking for Bradfield, and it finds the back of the net. Knocked away. Matuzis will take it the other end. Two-handed flush for Larry Matuzis. Now there's Kazawa, and she's able to finish it off.
Shot to whiff, and that'll end up in the net.
Seconds, fraction of a second. The runner is up, and it's good for Katie Marini.
I give 110%.
I give 110%. I give 110%.
To give your 110%, send your financial contribution to the Eagles Club by visiting aueagles.com/Eagles Club.
Welcome to our sleepy little college town. You may have heard of us. Here we stand up for causes as naturally as we sit down for classes. We believe that knowledge, understanding, and discovery will make the world a better place, and that our contributions are only limited by our imaginations. Words, medals, and degrees don't make us who we are. Meaningful change does.
We are American.
And there's nothing we would rather be.
Welcome back to AU Hoop Talk, presented by Launchbox Golf. And, Coach, let's jump into Patriot League play. It's here, and you guys have a tough first 5 games. The slate, when you take a look at it, you have Boston University, at Colgate, Navy, then 2 tough games, at Bucknell, and at Lehigh. That's a way to really jump into to Patriot League play.
Yeah, no, a lot of early challenges for sure. But I mean, it doesn't really matter, regardless of who you play. It's going to be a challenge. So I mean, I think everybody in the league is very good. You know, I mean, I think they all played well throughout the non-conference. I think a lot of teams are in the same boat as us, where they have a lot of returning players that played a lot. You know, from top to bottom. So obviously Lehigh I think is picked, and Bucknell's up there, and BU and everybody. But I mean, everybody you play, it's just a war. You know, I don't want to say a war, but a very difficult game. You know, Navy plays a zone that's different than what you normally see. So preparing for that is a huge challenge, especially with some younger guys that you're trying to get some minutes. But you can't look too far ahead. It's just one game, one game at a time.
One game at a time. Yeah, we haven't heard that before. Yeah. When you take a look at preseason stuff, and when you look at what the voters put as the number 1 team, the number 2 team, the preseason picks, do you put much stock in them? Do you even look at it as a coach? Are you interested? Do you even take a cursory glance at it, or you just don't even?
I mean, I'm aware. I don't. We have to fill something out at the beginning of the year, so you do that. But once you fill it out, you're sort of done thinking about it. And I think the league is born out where it's always not what they predicted at the beginning of the season. It's middle of the pack. There is no middle of the pack, but it's there are some teams that have played really well and have a lot of talent and they're good. But at the end of the day, anybody can beat anybody, as we've seen in the past few years. So again, it's you just got to focus your team, do the things that you think you want to do and do them well. Get your team prepared for each opponent and for try to be ready for what they do well. And you just sort of slog through it one game at a time.
And when you look at the Patriot League, that's got to make it a good league, at least from a fan's perspective, that you don't necessarily have teams that are just uber dominant, right? Like if you say games that teams can win on any given day, that's got to be good. Or from a coaching perspective, is it kind of frustrating, especially if you're not that number 1 team?
It makes it for it just shows how tough the league is. It's like it's good to see everybody doing well. I root for all these guys. I think there's been several coaches in our league that have been there for a long time too. So I think that factors into scouting. The coaches, at any given year, if you're young, the opponent's coach may be better at preparing for your offense than your guys are ready to actually execute it. So I think guys that have been around, makes for for tight games, for the whole anybody can beat anybody at any given night sort of situations.
When you look at Boston University, that's first up on the Patriot League docket. Sam Iorio had a huge game against BU last year, came away with over 20 points and looked good against the Terriers. What do you see from BU?
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, Joe does a great job. I mean, they always execute well on offense. In the past, like last year, they played us a zone, and Sam was playing our center spot, and he got a lot of open looks. We'll try to get him some more open looks this year. But every year, it's as much as you want to say, okay, they run, whatever the same offense, and they'll do, certain things. It's based on the personnel, and every year ends up being a very different game.
And when you look at Dr. Brett Reed, the head coach at Lehigh, and with them chosen as the number one team preseason style, what do you see when you look at the Mountain Hawks, and what have you seen from a Brett Reed coach team?
They compete. They always have talent. The perimeter guys. The guards can really score. They got a lot of guys that can put the ball in a basket and sort of test you and make you work. Several guys can go for 20 on any given night. And then they got some big bodies, in the posts that keep you occupied, and they're getting better. It's always a challenge, but he does a terrific job. Just got to be ready, when we get to that game.
Indeed, and the fact that you're coming out against such tough teams to begin with, when you look at the Patriot League, I guess that can be looked at as good because you know where you stand and what you maybe have to tweak down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it could knock you for a loop, early on, but it could also give you some confidence, once you see sort of the quote-unquote top teams in the league, and you're competing against them, and you see sort of who the best teams are and what they're made of. It just gives you a sense of, okay, this is where we are. These are the things that we have to improve upon, and But again, I know it sounds very coach speaky, but it really is. You got to zero in. It's game by game, so you just got to get your guys ready for each contest, and then boom, forget about it. Win, lose, or draw. It's over, and you just got to move on to the next one.
And with the league having different styles, that's also got to make it kind of tough that the coaches all bring different looks, different styles to each game. From a coaching perspective, from a scouting report perspective, that's got to make it kind of tough as well.
Yeah, exactly. You get essentially 2 days to prepare for each team, for each game. So you got to get your guys, forgetting about whatever happened in the last game, whether you had a good win or a tough loss, and you got to just start zeroing in on what are the most important things that you need to do in order to beat opponent X, and it's always different.
Indeed, and of course, to catch the Eagles and to catch the Patriot League slate, you can do so in person by calling 202-885-TIXX, as we'd love to see you in Bender Arena. You also can, of course, log on to aueagles.com. Again, that's 202-885-TIXX to grab your tickets, or log on to aueagles.com. That'll do it for this edition of AU Hoop Talk presented by Launchbox Golf. For Coach, I'm Dan. We'll see you next time.